Hello, my name is Greg Milner. I'm from Gregory Milner College. I'm going to show you how to make a line arrangement using very simple flowers. Very good for practicing with. You can enjoy the end result, but you can obviously use roses, lisianthus, all sorts of different flowers depending on budget. Now, let's have a look at this. I've actually got some strelitzia leaves here. Now these are fairly large. So the moment that you use these, you've got a lot of surface area and you need more weight at the base of your arrangement than you need at the top. So therefore, if we do use those as a stabiliser up the back, we're going to use those with caution and certainly not spread them. The closer we bring them together and the more we bring them down towards the base, the easier it will be to balance at the bottom. Like a seesaw. You have a child on one end of a seesaw and you have an adult on the other. They won't balance. But bring the adult closer to the axis of the seesaw and the child can stay where they are, you'll get your balance. So it's the closer to the axis point where you want the most weight, which is actually here. Alright, now I've got a turntable so that I can whisk this around so that you can see what I'm doing. So that's a handy thing. This is foam, this is biodegradable foam, and I'm just going to put a surround of fibre. Now you could wrap this in a leaf. That's one way of camouflaging. This is a little bit different, it's quite earthy. I've just got some pieces of wire here and I'm just going to pop those through into the foam. The foam's fully soaked. How do you know if it's fully soaked? When you put it into water, make sure it's deep enough so that when the water reaches the level here, that's when you know it's fully absorbed. So don't just run it under a tap. You can see that effect? It's quite good. Now, we'd also put a little bit at the back because that gives us that extra bit of camouflage over the foam, particularly if you had a mirror behind or something like that. Alright, cutting on an angle, I've actually got an arabia leaf. So I'm creating a foundation and you'll actually see that a design, just texturally, is already starting to develop. Now if I wanted to come down lower, I just use my snips, put a space in through that fibre, and you can see there, that's coming through the fibre, and these are sitting on top. So this is giving us textural contrast, the greens to the browns, the wiry and coming out as opposed to something quite definite. Alright, now coming up for our height, these are the danger ones. Good sharp angle into the foam. And the next one is going to be very, very low. So I'm going to pull that right down towards the foam itself, just on a slight angle from the one above it, which you can see there. That's really giving it good stability. Now, I've got some Pride of Madeira. With the Pride of Madeira, this one, it is important. It will start to droop on its tops, so you can actually just do a wire down the back. So something like this effect here. So this is a 0.90 wire. I could actually do a little hook on this, place it up around the edge and just bring this down the back and you won't see it. Now the higher that I go there, that stops that from wilting. So it's just a little hairpin like that. Just pull it in through like so. You won't see it. And run that down the back. And therefore if there is any drooping at all, that will cease. So we're going to bring that in. Now that is going to be our colour coming through. This will be our main line, which will link down towards the base. Now foliage like this could be used in an arrangement, so don't discard it. If its lifespan is good, just don't put it into the bin. It can be used. Alright, now just following the line of the leaves that we've created, you'll actually see a very distinct line coming through here. So that's pulling the eye down towards the base, and this will be our largest area. Now I've got a little bit of nandina. Let's have some depth into the design. Depth, a little bit of colour. That nandina with its autumn shade is actually bringing it in to the husk at the base, or the palm fibres, and that's really a nice textural contrast. Now again, we can feed through that material. Then we've got one imperfect leaf here. You can't see that. I could flip it around, but it's just one damaged leaf. I'm getting rid of that. Alright, now we've got some little grey hyacinths, and these are quite lovely. Just putting some of these into a little grouping. And I'll turn around so you can just see exactly where we are at the moment. Bring that across. So there's our design at this point. Now we're going to have something fairly substantial coming in towards the base, and we've got a number of different alternatives. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the pink diosma in. Now the highest piece again is coming up somewhere towards that centre line. That's important because you want your eye to run down that line and then flow through towards the base. So let's just flip this around so you can just see. I'm putting this on both sides. Let's turn that. Here we go. Turn that back again. Now if you do suffer with hay fever, diosma is not your best choice. So we've got quite a traditional shape here, which in fact is known as an A shape. But an A shape does not have to be structured so that it's stiff. It can be quite free-flowing. Now, if we flare out more on one side and come out further, then we need to come on closer on that side. And that is that seesaw scenario. And I've got a little bit of petosterone here, and it's lovely to mix up your textures. I'm going to put that down towards the base, which is rather nice. It's just a variegated leaf, gives a nice little contrast coming through towards the base. You see that when I turn it. You know, it is possible to make an arrangement with foliages only, and that can look quite attractive, but it's the contrast of the foliage that make all the difference. Now, I do have some azalea, and I'm going to treat that as our focal. Now, I did have a rose, but the mollis is going to do the job. See how substantial that is at the base? So that's doing the job quite nicely. Got a few more of these little scillas that are really quite pretty. I'll bring those out towards the side, into the foam. Now, if this was to be transported, you would need to anchor the foam into the actual base, and you'd use pot tape, which is very much just like a sticky tape really, except it's waterproof, and that comes in different widths: white, green, brown. In this case we'd use green. So I've just brought some of those little fellows up just to link them up into the design. And I've got some lovely halibus here. These have been conditioned, so provided we keep up their water source, they're going to be absolutely fine. The colour wave is lovely here. Bring those through. So this is where we're establishing our width. See that there? Now we're not too far off being done. Perhaps another one of those, because they're just quite lovely. Might pop one just over on the other side over here. Just rather nice. And we've got some little freesias, and the colour is coming in really nicely with those. Little touch of springtime. So we've got a very natural variety. Colours are blending really well. Let's just see if we can put this down here. And I'll turn it around so you can see it. Debatable. Perhaps a little bit more balance now back here. Let's take a bit of this diosma and pull it back a bit, which is rather nice. Of course, you can see the way that that's growing, a little bit challenging. Let's see if we can bring that up a bit. Might be able to, just a little sneak of colour towards the side. Alright, now let's have a look. Turn that around. Now, as far as the back is concerned, we could do that really quite simply. Here's a little bit of petosterone. Just going to put that in just for a bit of camouflage. You do need to make sure that you can water with ease, so that's really important, to top up your water at all times. That gives you some camouflage towards the back. And just finally, there's a little bit of fine asparagus fern here, which is just the most delicate, pretty fern. It's Asparagus plumosus, which is just a lovely, fine, delicate fern. So we might just put a little bit of that in, just a touch of more naturalness. Just link that up in towards that line coming up here. Let's give it a little tap. Alright, clean your bench. I'm going to take that off the turntable. Sit that down. That's our completed design. You can see it's got a slight movement just to one side. Just to make sure that that becomes in balance, a counteractor. You can see the colours coming through with the freesias, and that's a very simple arrangement and just made with a variety of flowers with a lovely colour blend. Let's pop that back in there because it's just going to break that outline just a touch, which this is our outline here. So I hope you enjoyed that, hope you enjoyed those tips, and keep watching. Thank you very much. Bye.